G'day guys and welcome to episode 112 of the Teacher Emilio podcast, and I'm really excited to be here with you because technology is letting me record this episode, and on top of this I've got two guests that you have probably seen them in the past, and if you haven't, you have to check out our previous episodes. Nestorine, it's good to have you back. Itzel is so good to have you back. I thought it would be cool to bring the two of you because by looking at today's topic, we will be touching on support networks. And then I thought we all have we do have a support network. And I thought, well, it'll be interesting to share this with everybody. So Itzel, can you tell us a bit about what you do and how's your support network?
Of course. First of all, thank you for having us and for inviting us to your podcast once again. It's so much fun and it's a big privilege. Well, I'm Itzel. If you don't know me from previous episodes, I'm Itzel Silva. I am the director of Son de Mexico, which is ballet folklorico, which is we represent Mexico through the traditions, through the dance, through their music, and we do this through like-minded dancers, mostly Mexican, but not necessarily Mexican. It can be anyone that enjoys Mexican folkloric dance, anyone that enjoys Mexican music, and yeah, this is a little group, a little niche that we created 2 years ago. Actually, in 3 days we're gonna turn 2.
Woohoo!
Yes, we are a very small group, but very true to our values, very true to our friendship, and yeah, we embrace this and we embrace our friendship. And we are very supportive to each other.
Look, I'm really happy you started saying that you don't have to be Mexican to go, because there are lots of people who, really enjoy and appreciate Mexican culture. So that's awesome. Thank you. Nestorine, tell us a little bit about what you do and yourself and your network.
Yes. Thank you for having me, teacher. And okay, so I'm Nestor. I work in mental health. I developed Nestorine counseling in 2019 was the first project. Then got a little bit more polished in 2020 in the middle of the pandemic. Pretty much it started giving mental health support services to everyone who was going through the emotional difficulties of the pandemic at the moment. Then it little by little started growing towards different people all around Melbourne. There's never been one particular niche, although it's very well supported and it's very well connected with the Latin Hispanic community, but it's also very well connected with the athletic community and also a bit of your everyday person. Like there's no particular engagement. It's pretty much whoever needs it, we'll give it to you.
Oh, that's awesome. And when it comes to your network, can you guys tell us a little bit about your network?
As in personal network?
I know, as in, for example, when you think of Son de Mexico and when you think of Nestorine Counseling and Happy Thoughts, how would your network be? As you guys know, I guess you are my network, joining here either on Spotify, on YouTube, this would be my network. But in your case, How would you describe your network?
Good question. And the answer is very broad, because you are my network as well. You as Nestorine, as Emilio, you are all my network. Son de Mexico is what it is, and it has grown so much in the last 2 years, thanks to all the people who have supported, to all the people who, who attend our performances, or the people who share what we do, people who sometimes even the comments that we get in social media saying, hey guys, you're doing great. Hey guys, this is amazing what you're doing, representing Mexico in Australia, so far away from Mexico, and you're still doing that. That's something that we really appreciate. But also, I think the most important part of South de Mexico is, of course, the people who belong to the group. These people are people who believe in my purpose, in me as a teacher. These having, like the trust of someone believing in what you think, what you do, and your values and your perspective of things, it's super valuable. It's like the best gift someone can give to you. And everyone in the group does that. And everyone in the group also think that we are open. We are open to be honest about anything that, if something it doesn't feel comfortable or doesn't really match to our values, we discuss that. And having that honesty and that trust, it's really great. And also there are people in the community from different backgrounds that support what we do and that cheer us up. Even people who come and say, hey guys, I want to take some photos of you because what you do looks great, and that will help us in my portfolio, but that will also help you to promote your work. That's also very, very good. People like you that, you have a podcast and you want to know and learn more about our story and what we do. That's also very important. It's a great support. And later on, I'll speak about how Nestor supports our group in a very, very particular way, which is the physical state as a dancer. I can say that we are also athletes, and we will discuss about that later on, but that's also a big, big support. Keep on going.
Nestor, the stage is yours.
Now, the answer for this one can be very complex, so I'll try to summarize it as much as I can, because the answer has two parts. What I do as a therapist in Nestor counseling, and what I do on the coaching aspect, which is my other career in Happy Thoughts. In Nestor counseling, I'll say the best way I can think of is we shine from the shadows, if that makes sense. Pretty much, you don't know who am I working with. No, only I know who am I working with. And that means that there's a lot of people who need that emotional support, who need to understand what's going on in the mental health, who need to feel connected and who need to understand, to feel that somebody is understanding what they're saying. Also, in this process, we have developed different, let's say, mini support networks, to put it in a very simple way, and a very, very graphic example. We have small communities of specifically women who have volunteered to provide a safe home for those who are fleeing domestic violence. So this is a way that I'm saying, is there a support network? There is, but it's pretty much one that works a little bit hidden because, once again, confidentiality is a big thing. And I do my best so that no one knows who am I working with. So that's the part of the mental health aspect in Nestor counseling. And then comes the second part, which is Happy Thoughts, all in regards to training. That's pretty much the complete opposite. We shine by being as bright as possible. From what we do, from chasing our goals, even the uniforms that we wear, we tend to be as bright as possible when possible. So from one aspect, we keep it low profile. On the other aspect, we try to be as bright as possible.
And that sort of, no, not sort of, it makes sense because you don't want to, if you're getting that type of support, you may not want the whole world to know about it. Whereas if you do really well on a race or fitness wise, you'll be like, oh, boom, it's nice for people to see.
Exactly. So that's why we get these two extreme opposites. It's something very interesting, and it's a very, very fun, personally speaking, phenomenon. Because it's also a challenge of the ego.
I like how you put it because, I mean, I'll be honest with you guys. We are in, this is a safe space to say it. When I was listening to you, a part of me is like, so you are like Batman. You work in the shadows. No one knows that you are saving people, but you're out there doing your thing, which is a really cool way to put it. But as you can tell, maybe our energy is not dark precisely. So maybe we should brighten this episode up a little bit. How does that sound to
Sounds
you?
good.
Sounds good.
All right, well, let's do it. Let's brighten this up.
How are we gonna do that?
You'll see in just a second.
Okay.
So you'll see in 3, 2, and 1. There we go. Boom.
Wow.
All right. So now, before we keep going, I like how we are touching up into our networks. I particularly like both of your aspects, how you were talking about being, let's say, shining, and also, as we said a second ago, being working in the shadows, but also yours, because you are not acknowledging just those who are in, let's say, the performance side of things. You also think of the broader community, where you are going, those that are watching, those that interact with you on social media. So I think this is a good time to say big thank you for tuning in on this episode. If you're enjoying it, don't forget to like it. If you're on Spotify, big thank you, because you are the OGs that keep checking out Spotify. Big thank you. And usually, we are in February now. It feels like I'm still putting 2024. I don't know about the two of you. But usually around this time of the year, what a lot of people do is talk about New Year's resolutions and how they are not being done. A part of me thinks that when it comes to being with a support group or someone in your network that can push you through, I guess it could be a way of staying accountable. At least when people come to me, they always say, oh, look, I want to take this exam, but I've been dragging this, and then it becomes, well, a bit of like a chore or a requirement, a must, because if you want to stay in Australia, as you know, you have to pass IELTS or PTE, OET, an English exam, right? How is it in your cases? Do you find that sometimes people use that, let's say, support that you provide so that they also stay accountable and they continue with their New Year's resolutions?
Yeah, I think so. I think it's kind of, we are pushing towards the same direction. I also think that we might not feel motivated every single day to perform at our best and be the best in what we do and excellence and all these kind of things. Something that it's embedded in our values, perform at our best and be authentic and bring traditions as we can, be appropriate and passionate about it. But let's be honest, we have our bad days. We have those days in which it's like, oh, today I really don't want to go to rehearsal, really don't want to practice. I feel very tired, or I feel anxious, or I have so many things in my head that I don't feel in the mental space to do my dance practice. But I feel like also looking at others in the same group, doing things and cheering up. Hey guys, I saw that you did this on the other day and looked amazing. Some people dance at their own times and then they send the videos doing the practice, and that little things motivate others to do the same. I also try to focus on what they are doing good, how they are improving, how they have been improving throughout the time that they've been in the group. And of course, as a teacher, I need to give them feedback. How can they perform better? How can they improve a step or certain movement? And then that's when everything that I've learned in the years that I've danced, that's when I share all this information. And I think also sharing knowledge is really crucial to make others feel empowered, make others feel safe, that they are in a space where they will not only try to learn a dance, but they can also feel free to share information, share ideas.
I would also add up to that, and maybe also being, let's say, being not afraid of failing or knowing that failing is okay. And this is coming from someone who, in case you guys didn't know, and I'm putting myself on the spot now, I think if there is a test to see how Latino you are when it comes to dancing skills, I would barely pass it. Like I always say this joke in class, like in Australia, I'm a professional dancer, Antonio Banderas, the whole thing, right? But if I dance in anywhere where we are from, I would be like below average, getting there.
You say it right. Like it's feeling okay, failing. You know that it's part of the process and process.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Nesrin, what do you think about all this?
Okay, so what would I say? Why do we need a support network? Why, in terms of mental health, pretty much it's very close to what itself says, but I will take it a little bit further in terms of because life happens, because sometimes people go through a lot of, I don't want to say pain, but a lot of struggle, and most of it comes unrecognized. And that means how many stories you know about people who have gone through all these silent battles, if we put it that way. Mental health, depression, anxiety, dysfunctional relationships, some project that just didn't work out very well. There are so many stories that we just go through every day, and some people, they just need that to feel maybe acknowledged. Maybe that's it's the word that I was looking for. Just acknowledged, knowing that their stories are important, they're valued, and they are not alone. Because in the end, your mental health will start suffering if there is too much of the struggle and not much not much or none of the support. Pretty much, it's an emotional overload that comes little by little, accumulating until people, they just can't handle it anymore. So why is it important? Because at least being acknowledged and then trying to understand where you're going and where are you coming from allows you, not necessarily, I don't want to use the term take control, but at least to understand yourself and know how do you operate in terms of emotional well-being.
No, totally. And I like how you were saying that people like and want to be understood. In my case, I have a mini reverse where, I mean, I work as an English teacher, so people sometimes just come to me, and it's funny because I have some students who purposely only talk to me in English, and I'm like, but you already passed your test, you already passed your IELTS, your PTE, talk to me. And no, teacher, because I know you in English, and they just want to talk to me in English. But then the opposite is true, because sometimes indirectly, I guess that by acknowledging that where they're from, their language/culture, then it's like, oh, like this guy understands me, type of thing. And I think this could be something that happens to all of us in different ways. Like maybe, as I just said now, I'm afraid of dancing, and especially afraid of dancing in a group, and then for you it's like, oh yeah, I know how that feels, and then it's like instant click. And in your case it's the same, like with the example you were saying, like someone is going through any type of struggle. One that I hear often, and you are the mental health professional here, but for example, students telling me like, in my country I was this position, be it engineer, lawyer, etc., etc. Let's say something highly recognized and valued, and then in Australia now I work as, I don't know, a kitchen hand or as a barista. And nothing against baristas and kitchen hands, I worked in the kitchen, so you know what I'm trying to say in case this gets clipped out. So yeah, really interesting. I feel that having that connection with people can really help, and it's something that definitely I think we all need it, right?
Yeah.
Wouldn't you agree?
I agree. Absolutely. I would like to build a little bit on that. So when you said people come to you as a teacher, connect with you as a teacher because they trust you in a way, I feel like something very similar happens in the group. Because the fact that we have to touch base every week, even twice a week for the rehearsals, it gives me an idea of where is every person standing. where, for example, if someone had their kid sick and then they have to miss a rehearsal, and then the next time we rehearse, they also have to miss a rehearsal because their kid is still sick. That's building a lot of stress on that person. And me going back to them, following up, hey, how's your kid doing? How are you doing? Do you feel like you need a break? Do you feel like the dance practice is adding up on the levels of stress? Please let me know. Let me know, because this is an activity that it's not supposed to be a stressful thing. It's an activity that's supposed to release all that stress from the daily life and be a space where you can feel free to be yourself and connect with your roots and connect with your identity. So it's not, if it's not achieving that purpose, let me know, because this is how things need to change a little bit. We can make some adjustments. We can, I mean, they're flexible. It's not like we are professionals and we are being, paid thousands and thousands of dollars to do this. It's an activity of leisure. It's a side activity of your daily life that, needs to be that space where you feel free and you feel comfortable. Of course, dance needs to be that, right? Oh yeah, I just wanted to add on that idea.
No, totally. And just very quickly, when it comes to being flexible, one thing I want to say is that, for example, in my classes, if you have been in class with me, you know this, or if you're listening or watching, so many times students, and this is coming up in what I want to, hear from you, Nestorine. People, maybe it's because of, let's say, my role as a teacher, and people respect teachers, and also thank you guys for believing in me. And sometimes I hear live stories like, oh, I couldn't do the homework because I was working on this and drama, blah blah blah. And sometimes a part of me is like, look, don't worry, I've got a class planned, but if you didn't do the homework, let's do something else. Let's be flexible, let's work with what we have. And I feel that this is something that it's part of our culture, and I think people like that. Not only Latinos, but also, let's say the people in Australia or people from other cultures also appreciate that. Nestorine, back to you.
Perfect. So now on this one, I'll talk specifically from let's say, the coaching perspective. And on the coaching perspective, what we want to do and what we want to acknowledge is that pretty much what you said, life happens and not two people's schedules are the same. It wouldn't be correct from my side to just create a standard program and then throw it at everybody and hoping for the best. Because what we want is to understand that, one, life happens. Two, and I'm going to use this term, shit happens, to be a little bit more specific. And three, and it's something that connects with every single member of the team, is that conditions are rarely optimal when starting a new project. We connect through that by if we look at the origins of what was Nestorine Counseling or Happy Thoughts, but also we want to understand that for everybody, things happen, schedules. Some people train at 5, 6 in the morning. Some others finish their sessions at 11, 12 at midnight. And I have the two extremes in this team. I've got two of them, one from Brisbane, one from Melbourne. They train at 5 and 6 in the morning. And I have one from Melbourne and one from Brisbane that finish their sessions at 11 and 12 midnight. So what this means is that we want, as the guides or as the person who are they putting their trust in, we need to acknowledge those elements in their life. And two, it's important to have a community, a group that's going to be there for them, even if they need a bit of a cheer on, even if they need a kudos from Strava or a bit of some extra love, someone who's actually caring about the fact that they are putting all that struggle when nobody's looking at them.
I like that final thought on that, because sometimes we all need that kudos, we all need a bit of a push, or even like just getting people to check up on you. And I think this is something that Now I'm gonna go super broad, and correct me if I'm wrong, or let me know what you think. But I feel that this is also like now a mix of our culture, but also Australian culture, because here in Australia, is very much, how is it going, man? How, all good? I mean, it could be either way, good or bad, and it's like, no worries, should be alright, it's gonna be okay. And it's something that I think maybe without noticing we might be doing, not only ourselves but also with our networks, and I think that's pretty cool. What do you think?
Something controversial.
How come?
Controversial in the sense that what I've seen in many cases, and most of the people that train there, is that to some extent they're not supposed to be doing this. And that's the interesting bit, because when we come, either if you're a migrant, whether you come from Latin America, whether you come from Europe, whether you come from the US, conditions of migrating, that we call it migrants in Latin America, in other countries we call it expats, conditions are not ideal. And you're expected more to be working, to be validating your stuff, to be learning the English exam. That's what you're expected to be doing. That no one is going to be helping you. At least that's why this group exists. That's why these support networks are coming up, because you're not supposed to be training. You're not supposed to be representing your country. You're not supposed to be living the life that you want to be, at least when you first move out. Now, where these communities are doing, it's telling all of you, being expats, migrants, whatever name you want to put it, or just being someone who wants to explore something new. We are here to support that journey, that personal journey that you're going to be doing. And we know that it's tough. That's why I wanted to put that into the spotlight. Those two guys from the team that train at 5, 6 in the morning, and those two guys who also train at 11 and 12 midnight, because they're going above what they were supposed to. And what we want to is for them to keep doing that, for them to keep pushing hard for their dreams, whether that's healthy relationship from history counseling, whether that's a 5K, a 10K, half Ironman, full Ironman. What we want is, or very important, the Korea presentations. Yes. What we want is that everybody keeps doing that, and that they feel supported by the coach, by their mental health professional, and by the community around.
He deserves a beer.
Bullseye.
Yeah.
Boom, boom, boom,
Yeah.
boom.
And I, while I was listening to you speaking, I think something that we all have in common is that we empower people to do what they dream or what their objectives are about, right? Like you empower people to learn English and be great at speaking English, and you empower people to be comfortable in their own skin with their mental being at its best. I empower people feel comfortable representing culture, dance.
Nice.
So great,
Yeah.
so amazing. I love this.
No, I couldn't agree more. And as I was listening, a part of me is also thinking that, say, for example, in my case, as much as I would love to help out students, I always tell everyone, and again, my students would know. Maybe, I don't know, if you are a former student, you know that what I'm saying is true. It's basically that I tell people, look, if you need anything, let me know. Sometimes people are like, Emilio, I need a locksmith, and then I'll try and connect a former student with another former student, or a former student with a friend. And sometimes, this is no surprise when, people trust me, hopefully, well, because I'm a good guy, I had a student telling me, teacher, I can feel you have a warm heart. And I was like, oh, that was so nice. But anyways, coming back to the topic, sometimes I get really hardcore, let's say, stories. And obviously I tell students that, look, this would stay here in class. As a matter of fact, one time I was in a class interviewing a student doing a bit of IELTS practice, and funny enough, the person basically made a comment that really affected that student, and all of the sudden I had to try and put my psychologist / counselor hat and I remember my wife, well, she was my girlfriend at the time, telling me like, was that an English class? And I was like, well, look, we're in the middle of the pandemic. This person is telling me something super heavy, and the person was crying, right? And then a part of me is like, and I said to this student, like, look, as much as I want to help, I know someone who's equipped, who's got all the tools to deal with this. I could try dealing with this, but this is not my bread and butter. My bread and butter is getting you through your IELTS, through your PTE. It could even be getting into uni, as you were saying, improving in your, in your English level, or maybe learning another language. But I think this is something that I think we all do. And if someone says, oh, I really like dancing, or I'm really into this area of our culture, I'll be like, I've got someone for you. Boom. And then it's like, look, I'm a terrible dancer, but I know someone who's really good. And then, trying our best to help each other, and also like help people that interact with us, right? And same thing for all of you. So now before you ask, all their contact info is in the episode description, in the description below. Nesrin, what do you think? Because you are nodding, so I know you want to tell us something. Go for it.
It's that it goes way beyond what you think. In terms of yes, your role is to help them pass the IELTS. Your role is to help them pass the PTE. Yes, but if it wasn't by your support, if it wasn't by those small victories, they wouldn't be able to do it. And if it wasn't by those small victories, then that starts branching out into different other areas of their lives. So I'm gonna make an example. Let's say that I'm struggling with weight, right? And then I decide to put this a big challenge to do a 10K race, right? The struggle and the effort that you put into it will empower you into choosing other things that you know that are in your best interests, but for many reasons, some of them fear, some of them just not knowing what's on the other side, will normally stop you there. So pretty much what I'm saying is, if you can do a 10K, you can get out of a dysfunctional relationship. If you can do a very specific dance or very specific challenge in terms of dancing, I don't know all the challenges that are on that area, then you'll be able to say no to someone who's taking advantage of you. If you can do that 10K that I was mentioning, then you know that you have what it takes to sit through the whole PT exam and then challenge yourself. So yes, you're teaching them to do the PT, you're teaching your students to do the IELTS, but what you don't know is that those same values that are behind that IELTS and that PT are those same values that we then foster in Son de Mexico, and that we foster in Nesrin counseling, and that we also try to bring out in Happy Thoughts. It goes way beyond an English test.
Yeah, it's overcoming your fears of any kind of decision that could be difficult.
And believing in yourself.
Wow, there you go. If I say it, it's like, oh, it's the teacher saying it. But I mean, now that you said it, it's a bit different and it's good. Spotless. And I also thought, as I was listening to you, a part of me is like, if I were to jump on stage and perform dancing, I mean, I would have a heart attack, but I would do it, having a heart attack. So it's like, feel the fear and do it. But a part of me would be like, okay, look, if I perform in front of a stage, maybe I could perform at a bigger stage, or I could do these other things. And then I guess it gets you thinking into that, I've got this win, and then now that I've got this, I could then do this other thing, and then this other thing. So yeah, it could branch out into other areas. Something that I found really interesting in classes, and this is particularly when I started doing groups privately, because I see this quite often, in my, let's say, in my day job, but also when I teach privately, I've found that it is so cool. I mean, obviously, there are other ways to put it, but I'm just beyond excited and happy when, for example, sometimes students tell me, oh, look, I want to join your group class, but is it really personalized? And I say, yeah, look, every group is different. So it's not like I come and I'm going to do the same lesson with you and the same lesson I did with the course before. But more so than that, the cool thing that I've experienced is that people that come to the group lessons that are, let's say, part of this extended network of Teacher Emilio, they help each other. I say in class a lot, and you also will know, I say we are family. This is like the gym. Mess up, make mistakes, get a heart attack with me, don't get a heart attack in the exam. And I've noticed that, obviously it's not like every single class, but people do help out each other saying, oh, look, I got this book. And they put on the camera, check it out, or you should try this, or I watched this movie, or go to this website. This activity was really good. And then it could be also little things like, oh, this activity was really hard for me. Oh, for me too. And then same thing as what we were saying a second ago, like people experience those same things that they could feel with us, but with them. And then that becomes like not only, oh, they come to us for what we do to help them. Other people, or let's say quote unquote strangers, are helping each other. And then I think that's also beautiful.
Helping them.
Have you noticed that both in Happy Thoughts, Nurturing Counseling, and of course in Son de Mexico?
Yes. In terms of that extended network, it's pretty much what I originally started with, and it was when I was telling you a bit about those hidden communities, and that's why I wanted to put on the spotlight, or at least show a little bit one, that it's a small group of women that offered a place for those who are going through domestic violence. And it came because a lot of people, found that the formal process, even though they still follow the normal formal processes, they found that it could take a little bit too long, and sometimes every minute counts. That's where it came into practice. It was just good women, and then all these. Then it's one of the main communities. There are a few others, but I think this is the one that I wanted to show up. But all this also shows that it's a phrase that I first heard when I came here. It's not what you know, but who you know. You can know a lot, but it's how connected can you be. What we want to promote here is communities of people who will share a passion and maybe use that passion as an excuse to connect with the human behind the aisles, the human behind the, you were saying the cleaning or the kitchen hand. What we're saying is, we're talking about mental health. I don't mind too much I do want to know what you work at, but I mind more about the emotional person behind it. And if we're talking about Happy Thoughts as the training programs, of course, I want to know your schedules, but I want to know who's the person going through the effort behind the numbers, the RPM, the heart rate, the threshold test, the FTP. I can swarm you with lots and lots of data on training programs, or I can tell you lots and lots of different authors and programs in mental health. But what's important is that you feel emotionally connected and you feel that there's a support group behind that's going to help you thrive, if you want to put it that way.
I think you touched up on that a little bit before itself, but can you tell us a bit more?
Yeah.
Can you think of like some examples of how that may happen in your case?
Yes. First, I want to mention Nestor knows a lot about his trainees. He has their schedules. He has their, their data. He's like a spy.
I know stuff.
He knows stuff. A few months ago, I to a podcast. They were speaking about the side of the dance connected with how's it called? The neurology behind dance. Oh, it's huge. It's huge. It's connected in so many different ways. When you dance, it's not only the physical stuff that you're doing with your body, of course. Doing a step, a movement, and twirling, etc. It's not only that. It's the way you connect with your body, the way you are aware of where you are, what you're doing, the space that you are occupying at the moment, and the space that others are occupying around you. But also, one thing that really blew my mind was when you dance with others, dance group, you connect emotionally. It's like your hearts are all in tune. When you listen to the same music, you are listening to the same beat, and exactly how I don't remember exactly how they describe that, the way music and the heart connect. I think it has to do with the beat. It has to do with the like repetitions per minute or something like that, and everyone moving at the same time, the same rhythm. It's a level of connection in a different way. For example, we are all speaking at the moment. We are all like having the same ideas and trying to connect the idea of the other people, your experience. But when you dance, you don't have to speak. You express with your body and you express. So I think that type of connection that type of activity makes the connections within the groups, the dance groups, a bit more strong. And the friendships that you create there are different. You say that in your classes, you say we are all family.
All the time.
Without joking, we just came from Canberra during the weekend. We went to perform the National Multicultural Festival, and 7-hour drive. Of course, you need to get along well with the people you're driving with.
Or you gotta have a really good playlist.
Or you have a really good playlist or a really good podcast.
Yeah.
You see what I did there? 7-hour podcast.
112 episodes.
Oh yeah. 112 episodes. No, but honestly, I was in charge of the playlist, and I said, okay, guys, this is the link for the playlist. You need to fill the playlist with the songs you love. Okay, yeah. Once we started driving, I put on the playlist. We didn't listen to the music. We were just speaking and joking and like having a good time. And the same way when we came back to Melbourne, 7 hours again of spending the same space with the same people. And at the end of it, we were texting, and one of them said, like, thank you so much, guys, for this weekend. I really feel like I was with my family, as if I had a road trip with my cousins. And this is so special, right? It's a very, very special thing. So that's the level of connection we have.
Yep.
And especially, I would say that for most of us watching, maybe of course not everybody, but if you speak Spanish and you're watching this, you're probably 3 to 4 planes away from, home, wherever you come from, right? So getting that message, it must really, that's, what a praise. I'm sure that would have made your day, I'm pretty sure.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yep. And now that you mentioned the neurobiological aspect of it, then I can very quickly, I'll try to summarize it, how important it is, the community, in terms of learning and developing skills. So if we talk about the 4 groups also promote a challenging, a challenge, which would be Happy Thoughts. We're talking about training, we're talking about personal challenges. Lecturing counseling, of course, pretty much, if I want to summarize it, is understand what's going on in your life and learn how to do things that you have never done before, pretty much in the hopes that it brings you a better outcome in terms of your mental state. We're talking about Teacher Emilio, of course, passing the English test, which means understand a new language, learn the different ways it can be put into you as a challenge, and respond accordingly. And on Mexico, of course, you have to be coordinated. Of course, you have to present in a proper way. And of course, you have to overcome a lot of fears. One of them, of course, being the fear of crowds and being seen by a lot of people. What does it mean? It means that if you are in a very stressed state, there's no way you're going to learn anything about any of those topics. Simply because the brain doesn't learn under stress. So if you're the person who's trying to learn by maybe a language, but also you're worried about how you're going to get to the end of the month, but you're worried how you are going to cope with certain problems in your family, that you have a problem with your boyfriend, girlfriend, then if you're under stress, it's very, very difficult for you to learn that because you're in a very stressed state, basically alert mode, or the sympathetic nervous system. It's under alert. Now, what's the role of the support networks? Being the teacher, being the dance director, being the coach, or being the mental health professional is to activate the parasympathetic nervous system, which is the one that allows you to learn much more efficiently. If I feel that the director of Fondo Mexico actually cares about the human, I'm gonna feel more supported. If I feel supported, there's a much higher chance that I will turn off the frontal lobe and activate the other ones in charge of the dancing skills. And that's what I get in terms of English. And I have a joke in this because when I say, I don't know why I know English, when I hear the teacher talking about the adverbs and the suffixes and all that, I don't know. I have no idea. But it sounds good in my mind because I learned how to turn this off. The one in charge of thinking and planning, but not the one in charge of speaking, which means I learned how to develop that English skill. And pretty much I have no idea why these phrases are coming out of my mind, but I feel comfortable saying this because I have learned to feel supported when speaking them. And of course, mental health, if you have somebody who really, really, really understands, or at least has done the homework of knowing who are you, where you're coming from, what's up with your family, what's happening in your journey in life, then putting that effort of changing your behavior, changing your thoughts, changing your emotion, or at least understanding them, it's much more doable. In the end, all this is to say is humans claim to be highly rational, but in the end, we're emotional and we learn that way.
Okay, the two of you touched on a lot of things. One that I think has been touched on a little bit, I mean, in different ways. I think I already said my take on that, but question to the two of you, and feel free to paraphrase or summarize yourself. How do you think that, because I said, for example, in my case, people come to me more often than not with a problem, and I go, I would love to help you, but I cannot help you. Maybe this other person might be way more prepared, adequate, adept to help you out. And then, I would shift them towards the two of you. Or, as I said, with the locksmith, etc. How do you guys think that we are connected? I mean, I think that's one way, but you said that it could go a bit beyond. Anything you would like to touch up on that?
How are we connected? We are connected because we decided to take the step. That's how I would say it in one phrase. What do I mean by that is you get to know a lot of people. You get to know a lot of people in life, but we are connected because I decided, I'm going to say my part and then I'm going to them. I decided and I promised myself that no matter how hard my studies and my career was going to be, I would never leave my sport behind. I would never stop running. I would never stop training. Not even because I aim to be a professional athlete. That would be a nice dream, but it's not. But by that, people started seeing me. I became somehow known, and that allowed me to be seen by others. When I talked to Emilio, because he decided to do something that for many could be unthinkable, which is be a Spanish-speaking teacher who developed a second language and then became a teacher in some of the most prestigious universities in Melbourne. Am I right or am I wrong?
That's a very nice way to put it. I would be a bit more humble, but I mean, that sounds on track.
Is Melbourne University one of the most prestigious universities in Australia?
Yeah, it is.
That's what I thought.
It is.
Case closed.
Okay, yeah, that's what I thought. Now, when you see that, it's a big challenge, but it pretty much starts calling the attention. You start seeing that a movie could talk to itself. Pretty much same story. In why it's something unthinkable, or it's something that is a bit of a challenge when we say a group that's dancing Mexican folkloric music. In many places, they would say that's not going to sell. That's who's going to ever go and see that. I have seen them presenting in Sydney, Gold Coast, Canberra, Melbourne, multiple times, multiple groups, not only in Latin Hispanic communities, but pretty much in every community, schools, in front of an embassy, in front of the government. So it is doable. So why are we connected? Because we decided to take this step.
I want to say now that you mentioned a bit about what I do. Another interesting fun fact about what you do itself that maybe not everyone might know, I'll put it here in the spotlight, is that you don't just pick any random shirt or dress. You don't say, oh, this looks really pretty on Etsy, Amazon, etc. You either make your own and or you help local artists and communities. So that's, I mean, incredible. So big shout out to you for that. That's awesome.
Yes. Yes.
Danke.
Yes. Big effort. It's a big effort because some people might not know that detail, but it's also part of the values. Because, I mean, if we are trying to put in the table the authenticity and the cultural appreciation, we cannot do that. Support from local communities. That, they are the main reason why an identity in a country gets created. But coming back to your question, how do I think we all relate, or what do we have in common? As you mentioned, we already touched on very specific ways of relating our businesses. First of all, empowering others. In a general perspective, empowering others, helping them build confidence, helping them create trust networks, asking for help. Sometimes this is something that not everyone feels comfortable doing, but I think we all have in common that people can come and ask for help. But also, I think amongst us, we support our goals. Like the fact that we went to Nusa to be crew to Nestor and be cheering him up and all these kind of things. We all support our specific goals, our individual goals. So I think that's super valuable. We need these kind of people. This is the correct people to have around when you want to create something new, when you want to start a business or start a project. You need these kind of people around you. For Son de Mexico, I'm gonna start from with Teacher Emilio and then Nestor in Counseling and then Happy Thoughts. Every business here has something very important in Mexico. Son de Mexico is mostly created by migrants for migrants. And one of the biggest challenges that we as migrants face is the language. If we don't speak English, we will have a very hard time adapting. It's a very multicultural space, but the common thing that we all have is the language. If we don't have English as a good second language, it's going to be very hard. So that's when we have Teacher Emilio. If someone from the group is struggling and they really want to improve their skills, Teacher Emilio is here, we always have Teacher Emilio sticker in the iPad. So I'm a very professional teacher, and I bring my iPad with me at all times. And right in the back of my iPad, I have Teacher Emilio stickers. So it's like, oh, just go to him. Of course, Nestorin, as I don't know any other counselor that is as professional and knowledgeable as Nestorin. And every time we know someone that is struggling, and trust me, this happens so often, and they ask for help. I'm not a professional. I'm not a mental health professional. Although, knowing that so many people have come to me to ask for an advice, I took the mental health first aid training to be able to direct someone into a professional who knows how to do that. It's not simple. It's not an easy task to encourage someone to go and ask help from a professional. It can be very sensitive. You can touch certain topics that might not be comfortable. So, but I know that he will do a great job. And then we have happy thoughts. And this is a moment where I'm going to speak about a personal situation that happened to me a few years ago. I'm very prone to injuries. Look at his face. And as a dancer, your body needs to be on its prime. You need to be on top of injuries, on top of nutrition, on top of hydration, on top of rest. I'm terrible at this part, the rest part. I don't know how to do it. But having someone that takes care of you using data, using knowledge, using science, and knowing what's going on with your body, even though you don't know what's going on with your body. And he's like, hey, Tel, your fatigue is increasing a lot. This might be because you are not resting well, you're not sleeping your 8 hours, or you're not eating properly, or you are doing too much. Probably you are doing a 6-hour dance class starting from 4 a.m. until 10 a.m. And this might not be a good idea. You need to need to assess your decisions, please.
Nestorin having a mini heart attack here.
Vietnam memories.
So all these kind of things that I might be like, nothing, like, like my body it's good enough to cope with all this. That's not the case. And having someone that backs you up in this situation and that guides you with knowledge, it's super valuable. Now I know how important it is to be strong and be fit and have all the other stuff easy, like rest, nutrition, hydration, etc., all sorted out. It's very important. And I tell you this as a dancer. If other dancers are listening to this podcast, please take care of your bodies. Please take care of your mental health. Please take care of your supports, of your support networks around you. It's very important to take care of all these things so you feel free and you feel comfortable enough to perform what you love the most, dance. This is my personal experience.
Coming on personal experience is something that I have said. I think this is like the third reference I've made it to things I tell students in class. So I'll just tell you one last one. We're getting close to the end, but it has to do with like learning Japanese. And it is extremely interesting because I remember when I first started, it was something so different at the time, even now. Like if you say, from, a Spanish speaker, like, I want to learn Arabic, Chinese, Korean, what's the other one? Korean, Arabic, Mandarin Chinese, or Japanese. Those are probably like the most different languages from Spanish, also for English, right? And at the time, some people said to me, no, you're crazy. Why are you doing that? Blah, blah, blah. You should learn Chinese. Look at, politics, etc. And I had very few people in my network. And this is like, time flies, 10 years ago, telling me, I don't know what you're doing, but keep going. That's a bit crazy, but yeah, keep doing whatever that thing is. And I mean, more than once, a part of me thought, oh, maybe I should just stop doing this. Why bother with Japanese when I can just put a third of the time or less and speak good Portuguese, French, and I don't know, maybe any other language, right? And then, yeah, looking back, it's like those moments when you are like, oh, doubting yourself or thinking, is it worth continuing doing this? And then you have like a tiny push. And sometimes students would, come up to me saying, oh, do you think this would be a good idea or this or that? And then everyone says X, but I'm thinking Y. Then, okay, maybe just go with Y, give it a try. I mean, what's the worst thing that could happen? So yeah, I think in listening to the two of you, and with what I do with students, like we are all sometimes doing that, giving people that mini push that they may need. And sometimes, we're really far away from, let's say, where we're from originally, and it might be tough having that push overseas. So take that as your call. If you think there is something you would like to go for, be it a hobby, be it a different activity, just go for it, give it a try. And as much as I am enjoying this episode, I think you are. Obviously, you are. And if you haven't already, don't forget to like this video or on Spotify. Leave me a 5-star review. Now, on a note, just to start wrapping things up, when you think about the future, what is there for Happy Thoughts, the Nesrin Counseling, and Son de Mexico? I'll tell you one for me personally, for let's say Teacher Emilio, one thing that I want to start doing. How soon, it's a bit hard to say, but maybe branching into other languages. This is something that I've been told a few times. And surprisingly, see, there we go. I was gonna say, this is not scripted. Look at Nesrin. He's like, you should start doing that right now. Slowly, I've been having people asking me, hey, Emilio, when are you gonna do a Japanese course, man? When are you gonna start teaching Japanese? And a part of me is like, look, let me pass I'm not gonna say the word because I'm gonna get this, removed. But I mean, let me pass the test. Let me keep polishing my skills, and then I'll come back to that. But I think that's one area that I want to start, going through. When, it's hard to say, but let's say sooner than later, it's gonna come. So if you want to learn Japanese or other languages, don't worry. The time is coming. How about the two of you? Can you tell us a little bit? Can you give us a few spoilers for? You look like you want to say something, Nesrin.
Yeah.
Okay, in terms of the mental health area, I want to keep growing. We want to keep growing, branching into different groups. Right now, we're trying to move more into athletic, like not athletics in terms of putting people to run. No, but more about helping those who struggle in the sports. Pretty much because an activity that's supposed to be of leisure and maybe of challenging yourself shouldn't be a source of stress. Shouldn't be that activity which determines whether you are a happy human or that you hate yourself. So we're trying to move that way. Of course, trying to stick to the original community, which is in my case the Latin Hispanic, and trying to move into different communities so that much we can connect and we can help as much people as humanly possible. That in terms of Nesrin Counseling, in terms of Happy Thoughts, one of the good news is that I've been seeing that there's a good demand, there's a good interest of creating that, being part of this network, being part of this community. And since a couple of weeks ago, my partner Vanessa has now become an assistant coach, and she is the one who's now taking a few of the new athletes, opening the door to helping and accepting new athletes, and providing them with the support that they all deserve, and not just throwing a random standard program and saying good job, mate.
Shout out to Bane. Congrats, Bane. We love you. Woo!
Yes, we love you. You're gonna be a great coach. My turn.
Yeah.
My turn. Well, spoilers. Spoilers for Son de Mexico in the near future. Um, and this is something that we already started working on. This is just a very random fact, but Mexico has 32 states, and each state has its own traditional dance, its own traditional costume, its own traditional music, its own traditional everything. So I am trying to bring the tradition of states that might not be as popular, that might not be as known in around the world. So that's where I would like to expand the repertoire of Son de Mexico. We already started with a song that is very special for me because it's one of the first songs that I danced when I started. And so 2 days ago we performed this song from Colima, which is called Jarabe Colimote, on a stage, and it's great. I've seen some videos and I'm like super excited. So I'm super happy for that. Also, I would like to expand a bit more on the online classes because they are very popular. Yeah, I didn't expect that when I started the group. I expected to just, give classes in person, but it turns out that there are many people out there that are interested in having online classes. And that's awesome because if they want to learn, I am happy to teach. So I would like to expand more on that. I would like to create more material for them, more material that it's easy for them to use and that it's easy for them to understand the technique. It's very difficult, but we can get there if we work together. And on another note, me as a dancer, as a professional, I am preparing for a big event in September along with Carlos, my partner. He's also a dancer. He's a great dancer. So we're both preparing for this challenge. It's a contest. So that when we were told that it was a contest, it was like, so we need to be on our best physical and emotional and in all our abilities to be there. So that's gonna happen in September in Korea. So I might need to also learn Korean. I'll need some help from you as well.
We'll get those Korean basics.
Yes.
You'll be a good tourist. And we've got 5 months? Yeah.
Yeah.
That's I mean, that might be enough to be a good tourist, not a rude tourist.
Not an awkward tourist.
Exactly.
Yes.
As you guys know, look, this is incredible. I'm having a really good time. I hope the two of you as well. And obviously you guys too. Of course you guys too. But look, unfortunately, we're getting really close to the end. And as the two of you know, and as you guys know, there is the wrap-up / final message. Now, I always talk a lot, so I'll leave the stage for the two of you. So the stage is yours. What would be your closing message? Because we touched up on so many different things. And whenever you're ready, go for it.
Okay. In my case, I think we already spoke about the important things that I wanted to say. But now that talking about support networks and about all the groups that have been there for us, these cannot be left unsaid, and it's thanking everybody who has been there for us. I would 100% say every single name who has helped Nurturing Counseling, but one, there are too many, and two, I think that would be a little bit unethical in terms of the mental health aspect. So first, please know that I think of all of you, and I really appreciate, and I'm really grateful about the fact that you have helped this business stay on for already 5 years, almost 6. But with happy thoughts, I can say the names because they are a massive group. They are the ones who started the project. I do my best to be there for them, but they started the project and they have been there for us at some point. So, thank you, Carlos, Itzel, Emilio, Manuel, Sammy, Mai, Sid, Lina, Vanessa, Cheryl, Jessica, Tatiana, Andres, Erica, David, Natalia, Steven, Borda, Anika, Alfredo, Mauricio, Kat, Lomita, Ghost. Thank you very much for being there from the very beginning and for holding this team alive.
You're welcome. You're welcome in behalf of all the lists. Oh, that's awesome.
I can vouch for that.
That's awesome. Yeah. My closing thoughts. I'm gonna steal one of the things that you said, and I think this goes to everyone listening out there. Take the step. If you're wishing to do something, if you really want to go and pursue that objective, that project, take the step. But always remember that you need to be surrounded by good people. You be surrounded by people who support you and by people who believe in you. That network, those people, they are gonna be the ones who make you strong. They're gonna be the ones who lift you when you feel that you're in your darkest moments. Surround yourself by good people and let them know how important they are for you. Let them know how much you love them and support them as well when they need you.
I'm sorry, guys, because I said I was going to leave the stage for the two of you, but there is an important thing I want to also add to yours. And it is true. And obviously, your environment is important, but also, and this is something that Nestorin tells me a lot, and I'm going to take a bit of what he tells me. And it's like, you have to take credit and also believe in yourself, because as I said before, with lots of different things, even with this show, a part of me is like, maybe I should stop doing the podcast. And then I get, obviously, that voice in my head, like, no, maybe just keep doing it. People like it. And then you get messages from you guys, from my support network telling me, it's amazing, keep it up, keep going, 1% better every episode. But I mean, obviously, I'm not saying you shouldn't or anything along those lines, but it's like even the plus of having that network and also you believing in whatever it is that you want to do, and please just pick something good, okay? Be nice to others. And obviously, massive thank you, because if you are watching this or listening to this is, again, my way of saying thanks, because without you, without the listeners, there is no podcast. So massive thank you. Maybe you were on your commute, maybe you're driving, maybe you're going to a different state, who knows? Maybe you're going for a walk, shopping, groceries, God knows. But the point is that we were part of your day and you were part of our days as well. Big thank you, guys. We should definitely repeat this. And well, I hope you had a good time. I definitely did. I hope you also did. And don't miss me too much. You'll see me next week on the next episode. Take care and bye for now. And thank you so much for coming. See you on the next episode.